Sora continues to be a huge deal. It will continue to be a huge deal for, I guarantee you, at least the next year, if not longer than that, because AI videos are something that is a huge topic of conversation in the creator economy. Of course, before you had to have a person to make a video. Now you basically just need a computer, which is kind of crazy to think about. Just for context again, Sora is OpenAI, the people who make ChatGPT. It's their TikTok style social media app that only has AI generated content. And the twist is that what you can do is you can use other people's likeness. You literally scan your face in there into the app, and you can use your own likeness to create videos that are like crazy. Benji Travis goes up to the moon carrying
I'm right now I have a Sora video where I'm like holding a moon like in Dragon Ball Z style, and I superpower or Super Saiyan fly into the sky and I throw it in there, and then I have this weird like cringy like smile on my face. I didn't put that in there, but yeah, it's crazy. I look like Goku from my favorite anime growing up, but in my face and likeness.
The point is that he scanned his face and could prompt it to do something that was sort of
We're talking like 5 minutes.
5 minutes, and it creates this crazy like 20-second video.
I should show it.
You can twist that by using other people and having them sort of, they call it cameo in your video as well, right? And so, for example, if I put my likeness in there and I allowed Benji to do it, you can kind of have permissions on who can use it. He could say, oh, and Austin is the evil villain who comes in from outer space and tries to, push it back down to Earth or something like that, right? There are a few people at the beginning who have made their their profiles hugely public. And one of them is the owner of OpenAI, Sam Altman. He's like, you can use me for whatever. And like people made videos of him stealing GPUs because that's what you need to make AI things, like just as a joke, right? It's very memey right now. Another one, YouTube related, is Justine, a famous old era Apple YouTuber who has been kind of all over the place and has talked about tech and Apple on her channel for many years, partnered, I think, with OpenAI and allowed people to use it. Now, there's an interesting thing, though, which is that one of the things you can do when you put your cameo into Sora is you can put a little prompt around it and say, hey, when I show up in other people's videos, make sure that I'm always wearing my favorite, white tee, for example. Or the one that Justine did is I think she says, I always have to be wearing pink and I have a pet pig with me. So it's kind of an ongoing joke that all of her things is she has a pet pig with her, right? They talked about this in the announcement video too, where like somebody always had like a gold chain. So people were really going after this. So another person joins 2 or 1.5 weeks ago, and it's Mark Cuban. And Mark Cuban is going along, and he's famous for owning the Dallas Mavericks, was on Shark Tank, is kind of like a sort of like somewhat influencer to some degree nowadays.
Yeah. But he's a billionaire.
Rich guy. And so people are like, oh, well, why is he on here, right? And why is he allowing other people to use his cameo on the thing? And his whole joke was that he had his AirPods in all the time in all of his videos. That was what he put in his prompt. So Justine had the pig, he had the AirPods. The other day, literally, I want to say 3 or 4 days ago, because I've been kind of like being on Sora every once in a while, just kind of want to see how things are developing. I noticed something, which is that when he would show up in my feed, something else popped up as well. Not just the AirPods, but at the end, there would be always a little tiny overlay in every single one that he created. And this is important, other people created, that says costplusdrugs.com in a little box at the bottom of the page at the last like quarter second of every single video. So what is that? What's going on? Like people were commenting like, what's this weird like overlay thing that's going on like right here? Well, I have context about Mark Cuban because I've been seeing him kind of make the rounds for this thing called Cost Plus Drugs, which is the company that he owns that is trying to do pharmaceuticals at a lower price, basically. And he's going to make like a little bit of money off of that beyond that. But the point is that what I realized that what he must have done is in that prompt said, I'm always wearing AirPods. And in the last 5 seconds, put costplusdrugs.com.
Smart.
And so effectively, every single person that uses him in their videos
creating an ad for
is
him.
Creating an ad for him on that platform. And he's all over the place. Like he's probably, him and Sam Altman are like the number 1 and number 2 people that I see in my feeds. Because of course, like why, if I can make a video with Mark Cuban and Sam Altman doing something stupid together, why wouldn't I do that, right? It's kind of fun, right? But it all becomes an ad for Mark Cuban. So I have some thoughts about it. I'm curious about what your reaction is to that, because we talked a lot about brand deals last week and we hadn't considered this, but it's such a clever idea. And he's the first one I've seen do it.
This is revealing the thing that's going to make AI very magical is that we don't know what you can do with it. We even said, hey, it's one thing for Facebook and Microsoft, OpenAI, and all these other, AI related companies to do well, but it's the entrepreneurs and the companies that are utilizing the AI that are going to do something. So in this case, it's both Mark Cuban letting people use his likeness, but then at the end forcing an ad. And then secondly, the creatives, right? Both creators and just people like dinking around with Sora. The one thing I told you when I first saw it is like, there are going to be kids that just spend hours and hours like they would a video game. And we don't know what's possible. Because I remember when we were playing video games, I used to play Super Nintendo when it first came out in the late 90s, okay? Maybe even early 90s, I forget. No one could have ever convinced me that 20 years later, there'd be millionaires doing that, right?
Yeah.
Obviously with better games, okay? Not those type of games. So who knows what's possible in the next 20 years? And you're already seeing it right now. And Mark Cuban is participating in that without putting out an effort other than the effort he already put. So that's the magic of AI, that you can have a likeness and you have this machine called Sora, right? This app that does AI generated content. And then you get other people to do the work. It's the ultimate. We always said like the big dirty secret of YouTube and social media platforms is us creators are doing all the work, making the platforms rich. Well, now, you don't even have to own the platform. You don't even have to do the content creation. If you've got a brand and influence, or people have an awareness of you, or you create those three things right now, you can allow other people to do crazy things, and you can be strategic, like the pig for iJustine and the pink, or in Mark Cuban's case. So for me, I'm thinking it's like a blank canvas for what's possible. Now, I'll tell you personally, though, I've already kind of lost interest. I made those 2 videos, whatever. I'm back into doing vlogging myself.
Totally.
But it's not something that I'm discounting. It's just that it's like, it's so unknown. For me right now, I'm all about the, a thesis. So I'm doing Vlogtober. But also, I actually think the flip side of all this, and more people are saying this, in real life, authentic, genuine content and longer form, like untouched AI type of videos will continue to do better and better and better, just because so many people are obsessed with creating the AI generated content, which is so easy and so cool to do. So that's kind of my take on it. But really smart on Mark Cuban to do this. Really smart for Sora to allow this and create that environment and the technology. And 3, who knows what creators are going to do? Because I think that is like the unknown that I'm going to pay attention to most, because creators always are innovative and pioneers for any kind of frontier that's creative related.
Yeah, and also a pioneer right now also in the marketing and advertising space, which is one of the biggest ways that people do it. I mean, think about brand deals. This is what we talked about in the context last week, is how Sora is going to disrupt brand deals overall.
Yeah.
We couldn't have predicted this. I mean, this is one of those amazing kind of clever things that someone comes up with and does. And the way that I think about it is that in the past, if a brand was going to sponsor you, for example, the thing that was shareable online was the content itself. So you make a video, you can send someone a link to that video and they can watch it. The algorithm recommends it to somebody, they can watch it. It gets posted on Facebook, other people can watch it. The video is being shared around. And so what the advertiser wants is they want a spot in that video, right? Or they want to be part of that video, right? One of the things that you and Judy do a really great job is making the brand and the product a character kind of in your vlogs as you go throughout your day, rather than some other people, and there's nothing wrong with this, doing kind of the easier thing, which is like putting a segment of their video and doing like an ad read, for example. It's just like you'd see any other ad, like those TikTok ads that I kept getting. So that meant that the content was branded with advertisements before. That's because the content was shareable. Sora, in this case, and this is one of the things you talk about, like when we really think about the far future related to AR, VR, the metaverse, whatever, anything like that, but especially right now with AI, because it's happening with AI, is that it kind of portends a future where the thing that's shareable is identity, not the content, but identity. Mark Cuban's identity is the thing that's shareable in Sora. Of course, the videos are too, but people are obsessed more with creating something with his identity than they are with necessarily sharing a funny video, right? And so what that suggests is that identity is the thing that gets branded with advertisements, which is kind of crazy. The there's a whole deep whirlwind of things that we can get into right there. But it shows you how, like a brand, you can imagine if he didn't have a company, if somebody became the #1 Sora influencer, XYZ brand over here comes over and they say, hey, in that prompt in your thing, put everything in my
gosh.
thing. This coffee cup is something that shows up in every one of your videos. I mean, think about AirPods for Apple. I mean, AirPods were kind of getting free advertisement because they were in Mark Cuban's ears every single video, right? And so it's just kind of amazing to think about how that becomes the new battleground for advertisements.
And anything that's good or amazing is also going to have a opposite to it, because if they can do it, if Mark Cuban can do it with his AI created content from other people, then guess what? Everybody else can do it too. So really the big thing is, this is why I'm doing the more low key amateur hour, like old school stuff, because that you can do infinite amount of times. Anybody becomes a creator because the technology makes it easy. So yes, I agree. The branding opportunities is huge, but when you can make 1,000 with just like a couple clicks, right, or taps with your thumbs, then that means it's just like
you're
flooded.
ubiquitous.
It's
Exactly.
flooded, okay?
Yep.
And it's more of a quality thing at that point. Like, which one is the best one at keeping your attention? Which one goes viral? Which one do people want to share?
And guess what's going to happen is the algorithm will pick those up and share them to everybody.
And then go to the flip side of all that. Brain rot's going to happen over there, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
It's totally going to happen.
Yeah.
On the other side, people are like, I need something else. And they're going to watch a 3-hour documentary about something kind of seemingly boring.
Yeah.
That's not, because the one thing that I believe this, the one thing that AI is not going to do well at, even if it can do it to a certain degree, is tell a really good story. There's a difference between telling a story, right, that does entertain you or whatever. Because right now I could probably ask ChatGPT, give me the story of the Mariners in the last 30 years. Guess what they'll probably do? Take that video potentially, if they're, I think this is like the evil part of it, right? They're going to steal that, whatever. But guess what they can't really do as well? Take all the stuff that's happening right now and put it into the story, right? There's like certain things that happen in real time. And this is why the daily vlogger, the daily uploader, the in real time uploader, this in real life is the magic, because our brains are thinking like in real time, like, oh, what about this? What could happen this? The AI can't predict the future. And like in a story, you're almost kind of predicting the future in a way, or you're alluding to things that are going to happen potentially, right? Or aspiring to things that could happen by telling this story of like, why the Mariners suck and why, like, if they win, it's going to be amazing. So what I'm trying to say is this: AI is a great tool. Tons of people are using it. It's going to be even more and more viral. But as that is easy to create, it's also easy to get flooded. On the other side, the boring thing that's a little bit harder, a little more effort, is going to become more compelling for when you get that brain rot and you want something else, even if it's seemingly boring on the surface. And in fact, in some people, will want that. They want that low key stuff. It's more about the person and their message versus the product and the quality, as well as the production.
Yeah, and I think that I think my perspective is that not necessarily that AI can't do the live thing. I think there's going to be a very near future where it can keep up with things relatively live, but that it doesn't have the perspective of an individual, right? It has the perspective of this kind of gigantic AI model, which is what it is, right? And that's the thing that people connect with, is the perspective of an individual. And when it comes to storytelling, that perspective is what makes a story interesting as well. I mean, the reason that history video with the Mariners is so compelling is because this guy's making some crazy claim based off of something that he felt, right? And that was what kind of pushed it over the edge.